menu board here. RL Productions presents El Mesquital Memories. Ah, yes, produced and directed by Ray Lindstrom. We all remember him. Oh, and here we are. This is way out east of Tucson on this isn't Tanque Verde Road. It's east of the Tanque Verde Loop Road on Speedway. That's Speedway Boulevard right there. And we're going through the main entrance here of the El Mesquital. It says, what does it say? Modern ranch type guest cottages for rent, fully equipped for housekeeping. Oh boy. And this is where we lived. And there's a 1956 Buick Special that was driven by my mother, because my mother and I lived here starting in 1956, and you can see the beautiful Catalina Mountains in the background. And I just got in my movie camera, which was a Keystone Capri, shot regular film. You had to set no automatic settings on this one. You had to do it all yourself. All the way around there, we had the Catalina Mountains, and had to stop there for a second because I had to wind the camera. You had to wind the camera, of course, in those days. And over here on the right are the Rincon Mountains, and there's Speedway Boulevard. Now we're going to go to Barretts BBQ. Oh, yes, there's Warren Barrett, and his wife had a barbecue at their home at the El Mesquital Ranch. And, of course, every afternoon it seemed like there was a barbecue or a cocktail party or people drinking booze anyway. That's the way it was, and everybody had a nice time, all the people who lived at that ranch. And this ranch was composed of about 4 or 5 housekeeping cottages. There's Virginia Barrett, Ginny Barrett. She was actually a year older than I was. I was 15 years old at this time. She was 16. She could drive. She could drive, she could smoke, she could do everything. She was just a lot older than I was, even though there was only a year separating us. There's Mrs. Barrett, and there's Warren Barrett. Now, they also owned farms in New York, up by not too far from Utica in Watertown or Cassville, New York. They had big farms there, and you can see they drove a Buick also. These were people that liked to drive Buicks. See, and there comes Mom. Oh, there's my mom. She was wearing the pink dress right there, and we're having a big barbecue. This is really exciting stuff here, folks. I'm sure there's going to be a winner of the Cannes Film Festival. Ken Burns, Eat Your Heart Out. We're going to have some, look at close-ups of salads. Now, why didn't I continue doing this? I could have become another Steven Spielberg. But, of course, I like the documentary-type films more than just made-up things about Star Wars and that sort of thing. I think that's what year Buick is that back there? 55, maybe? Oh, there's Mom. Now, Mom's going to eat that delicious barbecue. That's right, Mom. Mom was born in Chicago, Illinois, many long years ago. That's where she grew up. And my dad stayed back in Chicago because he had a good job, and he couldn't find a job in Tucson. That's Ginny Barrett. Remember I told you about her? And she was always a lot older for her age. She could drive, she smoked, and I tell you, she was a lot older than I was, that's for sure. And she grew up here in Arizona. In Arizona, they were much more advanced, it seemed like, in Arizona than we were back in the suburbs of Chicago, it was really a shock. I grew up in Geneva, Illinois, which was on the Fox River when I was a little kid, and I went to 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade there. And then in 4th grade, Dad decided that we should move to Tucson, which we did, and I went to Tanque Verde School in Tucson, Arizona. There's Mom. Oh, Mom, she doesn't want to, please don't take movies of me. Get out of here with that. And anyway, so I went to grade school, and in 4th grade at the Tanque Verde School, and there were, look at, you see that house there? That house was owned by a guy by the name of Ted Schwab. Ted Schwab was an old vaudevillian who taught Eddie Peabody, the famous banjo player. He taught Eddie Peabody how to play the banjo. Can you believe that? That's right. And now this was a piece of property that my dad bought. He bought 10 acres. It was right adjacent to Saguaro National Forest, and he bought that in about 1956, 57, right in that area. And I'm taking these movies from the land that he bought, and he didn't pay much for it. I think, $6,000 or $7,000, something like that. Yeah, there's Mom right there. Look, we got a nice saguaro on the property and everything. It was beautiful. It was just right up against Saguaro National forest. Anyway, I was telling you about Ted Schwab, the guy that lived in that little house, and his granddaughter was Lynn Friese, who turned into Lynn Borden, who was married to a disc jockey in Tucson by the name of Chris Borden. Lynn Friese was Miss Arizona and was actually became a movie star, and she was in the TV show Hazel, if you can believe that. Remember the TV show Hazel? Not too many people remember that, but anyway, she was in that. And her father, who was Bill Friese, also was a cartoonist, a famous cartoonist, and he did a cartoon strip called Major Hoople, and I think another one called Our Boarding House. But anyway, those were comic strips that were popular in newspapers back in the 1940s and the 1950s. Oh, here's Mom. Mom is going to do some clothes washing here all of a sudden. Okay, Mom, this is going to provide more exciting drama for this show. Anyway, there's Mrs. Barrett again. And this was real interesting living out here. But I was telling you about when we came out from Illinois to Tucson the first time in 1950, and I was in 4th grade, and it was a 4-room school, so there were 2 grades per classroom. You know, like 1st and 2nd grade was in one room, 2nd and 3rd, or 3rd and 4th, and I was in 4th grade, so we had to share with the 3rd graders. And it was it was a real culture shock for me, because it was Tanque Verde was a pretty poor area. We had a lot of Hispanic kids there, and as a matter of fact, they would ride their burros to school, if you can imagine that. And they would tie up their burros and then go home on their burros at the end of the day. Wow. Anyway, one thing I learned there was that the kids just loved to play baseball. They played baseball year round. It was just nobody cared anything about basketball or football, but they just played baseball year round. And of course, you could play baseball year round, unlike being in Chicago or the suburbs that I grew up in. They played baseball all the time. So I went out and got a mitt and learned how to play baseball, because that was a big deal. And I've always been a great baseball fan since then. The Cleveland Indians were in spring training in Tucson, as a matter of fact. And boy, how could I take movies of Mom hanging up clothes on the line? Holy cow. Couldn't I come up with a better subject than that? Oh, yes, there's a beautiful sunset. But it seemed like the sunsets never really looked great, did they, on film? Even though this is Kodachrome film, all that I'm shooting here in all my movies, it's all Kodachrome. And the color, it's really amazing. Now, all this stuff is over 60 years old. Now, you remember I shot this when I was 15 years old. I'm almost 75 years old right now when I'm narrating this. So this is old film, but the color is really good. Oh yes, there's Mom. I think she was a dancer one time in her life. I remember kids would come over to our house and she would dance, and I would be very embarrassed at this whole thing. Okay, Mom, why don't you go inside? Oh, there's Marie Jackson and her dogs. Always had a lot of dogs around. There's a nice boxer. I think there's a Cocker Spaniel. There's some other little funny dog. See, that's what it looked like. There's another cottage in the back right there, and these were all people. Matter of fact, most of these people were from New Jersey, because the owners of Harold Gorman, the owner of this ranch, was from New Jersey. They lived in Wildwood, New Jersey. There's Bill Jackson right there with his mom, Marie Jackson. And he was a young man. I think he was going to the university at the time. He ended up being a stockbroker for E.F. Hutton and Company. But anyway, they were from New Jersey. The people that owned the El Mesquital Ranch were the Gormans, and they owned the Hotel Wildwood in Wildwood, New Jersey, and it was home of the famous Glass Bar, which was a very famous nightery way back there. And I guess Wildwood was kind of a resort on the Atlantic Ocean there, not too far from Atlantic City. So anyway, people always get together, and they had their dogs, and it was a nice time, and everybody kind of knew each other, and rain was really a rare event. Oh my gosh, look, it's raining in Tucson. Unbelievable. Wow. Well, let's get some pictures of, now this looks like we're getting ready to go to church. Now, you know, I kind of grew up a Lutheran, and so I was confirmed a Lutheran. And I remember about going to confirmation class at my Lutheran church in Palatine, Illinois. Oh, the Sands. Ooh, the Sands Hotel in Tucson. thought we were going to church. I guess we went to the Sands Hotel instead. Oh, but wait a minute. Here's Dad. Dad came out, and he's now going to go in the water, and we're going to go to the Sands Hotel and go swimming. They had these special swimming packages where you could go over there and use their pool for a couple of bucks and bring the whole family, and it was really great. Now, the Sands Hotel, it was down at Congress and the Freeway, and a lot of times when movie stars would be making movies at Old Tucson, they would stay at the Sands Hotel. Well, the two movie stars staying at the Sands Hotel right there are Mom and Dad. And I would say that this is probably December of 1956, and Dad came out for Christmas time. That's certainly logical, isn't it? Of course it is. So there they are. We had a lot of nice resorts in Tucson, and you know, they were kind of glorified motels. We had the Desert Inn and the Sands here, and the Triple H Ranch and the El Dorado, and just a lot of nice places here. And we had a lot of winter visitors. Tucson, by the way, in these days, now this was 1956. In 1960, the population of Tucson was about 200,000. In 1950, the population was about 50,000. So I would say right now we were probably around 150,000 people in Tucson around 1956. And it was a great place. Now, I came back to retire in Tucson. There I am jumping in the pool. I'm not in too many of these movies because I'm the guy usually taking the movies. But I think this time, oh, wait a minute. This is Ginny and me. We're waiting for the school bus. Yes, we're getting on the school bus. This is another great dramatic moment in my life. Getting on the school bus, I sat in the first seat of the school bus, and that's where I met my good friend Bert Schneider. He and I became fast friends. We're still friends to this day. And he and I owned a record company in high school called Zoom Records. There's a 1955 Buick. Look at that. It's a Roadmaster. See, it's got those 4 holes in the front there, and there's a dog. And there's my mother. And I think we're gonna see some horses here. They had horses at the El Mesquital Ranch. And let's see what horses they were. Let's see if I remember these horses. We had April, which was a nice Palomino, and we had Sugar, which was a brown horse, and we had Twinkle Toes, which was a buckskin, and that was the one that I rode all the time. Oh, wait a minute. Here's President Eisenhower now coming to Tucson, and I was there early in the morning because I wanted to make sure I got a chance to see Ike. And so he's somewhere in one of those cars, and he's coming off that big airplane. He's coming out at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. This was early in the morning, 1956. I got Ginny Barrett to take me over there so I could get some movies of him. I was a great fan of President Eisenhower, and this was the time that he was visiting Tucson. And as a matter of fact, I think this is it. And now I think he's leaving Tucson. I didn't get much footage, and what you saw were the cars traveling. And I think now this is him leaving Tucson in one of those, what do they call those? Those great big Constellation planes. He's leaving Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. But anyway, he was here, and that was I think that must have been around the fall of 1956. My exposure isn't so good here, but you know, like I had mentioned once before, you had to always adjust your own exposure. Oh, back to Mom again. Now, she was my one subject that I could always count on because she was always around. Okay, Mom, go in the side door, now you come out the front door. Okay, there you go in our little cottage. There I am. Oh, what a handsome young man. 15 years old. I'm ready. Got my crew cut, and I'm ready to go to class today. That's right. There I go. Oh, now wait a minute. Let's not have such a bad attitude. Oh my gosh, there's now Mom out there dancing again. I couldn't stop her from dancing. Always embarrassed me. But got to do what you got to do. Out there with all the cactus and everything. Yes, that's wonderful, Mom. Thanks a lot. Okay, well, now get the hook. Get the hook. I shouldn't say that. That's not nice. Mom passed away in 1988, as a matter of fact. She and my dad were married for 48 years. Wow. Long time, huh? Renee and I have been together. Gosh, I don't even have any movies of Renee. See, I had to leave my camera on the tripod there to go and make a fool of myself for just a short while. And Renee and I have been together now for about 28 years, over 28 years, and I have no movies of her. Actually, I have some movies, but not these kind of movies, of course. These kind of movies, they were Yes, that's really great. Oh, yes, I'm sorry that I didn't mean to push my mother out of the way. I'm very embarrassed. That's it. Okay, Mom, turn off the thing. I got, watch out there. Oh, we're going to, wait a second. We got a cactus here. There is a cactus there. You got to, oh, be careful though. Oh, my gosh, look at that. Oh, isn't that awful? Holy cow. Right there, I'm pulling all kinds of needles out of my butt. Whew. Wow. There's Mom again. And I was telling you about Renee. Now, Renee and I have been together for 28 years. But, you know, today's movies are so fabulous with the sound and the color and everything. Just those little phones and everything. Oh, boy, it's just so much better than they were back in those days. But this was the best we had. And the one thing that we missed back then, we missed the sound. We didn't have any sound. Boy, so because we didn't have any sound, then I have to sit here like this and try to narrate these movies. All off the top of my head. And you know, I haven't been quiet yet. Let's see, I've gone now about 16 minutes just talking about all kinds of stuff, and I have not, I don't think I've had any silence here whatsoever. Now, who's going to come out of the door? Oh, now look at this. Now we're going to church. This must be this must be our spiritual. Oh, I've got a bow tie on. Wow. Mom and son are going to church. That's right. There we go. Turn off the camera. Or to go over there, go to the tripod, move the camera over, get Mom getting in the nice, and Ray's going to get in the other side. Of course, he can't drive yet because he's only 15. That's right. He's getting in the car, and now the car is going to magically go, and we're going to go to Our Savior's Lutheran Church. Now, that is still there. It's on Campbell, just north of Speedway. Nice big Lutheran church there. And every once in a while, my friend Bert Schneider, who's Jewish, he'd come with me to church, and we'd try to pick up on some nice-looking chicks there. Well, we never did, but we often tried. Oh, well, that's right. It's supposed to be a spiritual experience. Well, that was it. And there we go. The Our Savior's Lutheran Church. Oh, Tucson, Cleveland Indians spring training camp. Yes, this is it. Now we're going to see some of the players. Wait a minute. That's not one of the players. That's one of the girls in the stands. And there they are. This is High Corbett Field in 1956, and all the players are out there. And it was really great because you got real close up to the players, and you could see them all and talk to them and get their autographs. And it doesn't look like there are a whole lot of people out there today. But boy, it was perfect for a kid with a movie camera, and he could go there and he could get some fine movies. Yes, sir. Look at there. There's a guy at bat, and there's a pitcher. Oh, almost picked him up. Oh, my gosh, the ball got away, and the Indian slides into second base. Safe at second. Oh, boy, we got a real exciting game here, folks. That's good. Oh, my gosh, even got a hit thanks to me. Oh, no. You're going to be thrown out at first. That's it. Now let's get some closer pictures of some of the other. Is that Rocky Calavito? I know Rocky Calavito played for the Indians, and I think I've got some even closer pictures of some of them back in the batting cage outside, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, 1956 Cleveland Indians. How'd they do? Well, I know they were in the 1954 World Series. Ooh, look at, is that Mike Garcia there? Wow. How about Jim Mudcat Grant? Is that him there? Oh, yeah, some other guys? Come on. Who are these guys? Wow. I used to know everybody. They look familiar. That's, oh my gosh, isn't that Herb Score? And that's Mike Garcia. Yep. Oh boy, this is great stuff. Early Wynn. Remember Early Wynn? He had 300 wins in baseball. And you know who that is? Chico Carrasquel. When I grew up, I was a White Sox fan in Chicago. There it is, Chico Carrasquel. Look at, I got his autograph. There he is right there. I was always a big fan of his, especially when he was with the Chicago White Sox. Wow, it was really great. Great watching spring training in Tucson. And it's just a shame we don't have it anymore. You know that? No more spring training in Tucson. Absolute pity. It was really a great place to go. High Corbett Field, the Cleveland Indians. El Mesquital memories. Wow. Great times. Way back there in 1956 in Tucson, Arizona. I was 15 years old, And this is all on my Keystone Capri movie camera. A lot of fun. Yep. You know, when you're an only child, you got to come up with all kinds of unusual things to do. That's right. That was it. High Corbett Field. My gosh, I wonder if doesn't look much different today, I don't think. Great place. And parking was always very poor. Oh, how about Saguaro National Monument? Here we go. Mom and Dad are going to Saguaro National Monument. Now it's Saguaro National Park, but in those days they called them monuments. They could drive through there. The old 56 Buick Special. Nice looking car. Love that car. And here we are. It's not too far from that 10 acres that my dad bought. And take a trip through there. Of course, I had to take movies, and then they'd stop, and then I'd have to run and catch up with a car. But I did. I was young and in good shape in those days. Mom and Dad are going to go out, and Mom's going to smell the flowers, and Dad and I are going to go climbing up some rocks. Ah, isn't that beautiful? It is. You know, there were a lot more saguaros back in those days. This was 60 years ago. Oh my gosh, look at wildlife. There is a real live rattlesnake taken by me. Just don't coil up and attack me, that's all. Oh, there Dad and I are climbing around the rocks. Okay, Dad, that's it. Having fun in Tucson. Oh boy. Yep, great times, Mom and Dad. And there were a lot more saguaros back in those days. And that was a long time ago. Long time ago. Yep, that's me. See you, everybody. Yep. Those cactuses, ocotillos. Somebody else is running the camera. A little sporadic there, Mom. Take it easy, will you? There it is. Saguaro National Monument back there. It was quite a place. It still is today, as a matter of fact. Go out there, and always lots to see. I always suggest that everybody goes out to Saguaro National Forest. Now you can go, now that was only on the east side then, but now you can go on the east side of Tucson or the west side. Got two sides of Saguaro National Monument. Climbing up those rocks. Yep, oh, I always loved climbing up rocks. Or little hills, mountains, whatever. Oh, this is like the Indians or the cowboys in the old days. They were fighting on the rocks there, that's right. Yep, a lot of fun out there, that's for sure. A lot of rocks, a lot of saguaros, a lot of wildlife. Ooh, this was Roller Coaster Road, up and down, a lot of hills out there. But you know, that old 56 Buick could handle it. Had no problems whatsoever. Yep, there we go. No problem. And that, folks,